I think a new team has arrived in the AFC West, and their name is the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah.
Herbert stops, launches deep. Jalen Guyton, he's got it!
Herbert fires open, making the grab. Mike Williams down the sideline. On the 17-yard line, look out again. Carr, intercepted.
And we're back. Tyler Lawrence at LAC Masterful, Zach Alfers at Zach Alfers, brought to you by the Say It Again Network. This is the Shock Therapy Podcast, and we're talking about the Raiders.
Bring them.
So the Raiders are really good at what we are really bad at, and that's stopping the run, and that is running the ball. They are really, really good at running the ball. Josh Jacobs, I think, has the most rushing yards in the entire NFL right now.
I think he's like second or third, but he wasn't even like he had a 300-yard game performance, which bumped him up into that top 5. So he had the best single game all year, if that's what we're talking about. But I think overall, here, I can bring it up.
Overall, I believe he's leading the pack this year.
Really?
Yeah. But anytime you rush for 300 yards in a game, that just shows how special you can be. He is leading the league by about 110 yards, and he's got 9 touchdowns on the ground. He's got 6 20-plus yard rushes. He's got 240. He's got a long of 86 this year, so he has the speed to get out there and not get caught from behind. And his rushing first down percentage is 31%. So, he also doesn't put the ball on the ground. He breaks more tackles than just about any running back consistently. He is a tackle-breaking machine.
He's an amazing talent. It was something like that the Raiders were underutilizing, but just not showing him a whole lot of respect. There's a lot of talk that they weren't going to re-sign him. I don't see how you can look yourself in the mirror and let that guy walk. A guy who... how many seasons has he in? Regardless,
he's in his fifth year option, I think.
He is.
Or no, they did not do the 5th year option. So that was the thing, right? Year. Was a lot of people thought that they weren't going to bring back Josh Jacobs. I don't think it was that. I just don't think
want to restructure
they valued him as a top 10 paid player at his position, because it would have been like $10 million for the year, and I don't think they value, especially that that coach that they have over there who spent all that time in New England and they never paid running backs. I just don't think that they valued him at the price tag that it would have cost them.
Maybe that's it, but still, like a historic franchise like the Raiders, who have had tremendous running backs over the years. Out of all of them in their first 4 seasons, Josh Jacobs has more yards than any of them. That's including Dennis Allen, who's talked about as one of the greatest running backs of all time, regardless of franchise. And so that guy is good. He deserves the money that is coming his way this offseason. He is a tremendous talent and somebody that I'm going to be, seeing in my nightmares until Sunday comes around.
So he's got 64 missed tackles forced. That's the most in the NFL.
Jesus.
64 in 11 games. And then if you go back to last year, he was 3rd with most missed tackles forced, with 60 in 16 games. So he's already surpassed what he did last year, and he finished 3rd. The player last year who had the most missed tackles forced was Jonathan Taylor at 66. He's already going to surpass that. And still has 5-6 games left in the season. Go back to 2020. Every single year, he's at the top of missed tackles forced. He was 5th in most missed tackles forced with 51. So he's getting better every single year at making guys miss. And he's missed games in the past as well.
Yeah.
And then last one I'll go. So from 2019 to now, 69 missed tackles forced as a rookie. Every single year, he's in the top 5 of making guys miss. That's not just running through people. That's just straight up making them miss entirely. So he has really, really good contact balance. I feel like we should have talked like this about him last time we podcasted about the Raiders in week 1. I think we were just so butthurt and just wanted to just smash.
We were just so angry.
We also needed to talk. We needed to talk about Josh Jacobs and just how special of a player he is, even if he's not worth Derrick Henry money.
Yeah, right. I think he's a beast. I've always respected him and liked him as a player. And I think, I think he's one of the best all-around back who mixes it up in the pass blocking situation. I think that dude is severely disrespected across the league and across fan bases as a guy who's maybe not the flashy kind of play that Kamara or Eckler bring, not the bruiser necessarily that Henry is, but he's I don't know about top 5, but he is right there at 6 for me if he's not going to squeak into my top 5.
I mean, he's got really, really good contact balance, which is what makes him
He doesn't
special.
Go down easy, no.
And he's got a little bit of power. He's got a little speed. He's got a little juice to make guys miss. He's, I don't know, like he's Maurice Jones-Drew, like kind of same build, smaller back. He's not a big guy, right? I think he's like 5'10", 215 pounds. He's listed as 220, right? But he's not like a big guy. He carries it really well. So, yeah, Josh Jacobs is their offense. That is what they want to do. They want to run the ball behind him, and they want to really bring people into the box, and then they want to hit Davante Adams, deep over the middle, deep side, deep. That's kind of their offense. That's how they play football.
Well, and especially this season with the early injuries to Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller. So, I mean, Davante Adams is a tremendous talent, but you only got one receiver really to throw to. So it kind of, because of the injuries, you got to play into the guys you have there. And yes, Davante Adams is that number 1 option, but I want to say because of what he gives you, Josh Jacobs is a much more consistent option for the Raiders, and they're riding that guy. A team who's not really in the playoff picture, really wasn't ever, but are now rattling off some competitive games and winning more than I was going to probably give him credit for after the first 4 weeks of the season.
You know what I'm really looking forward to is the rematch between Davante Adams and Asante Samuel.
That'll be nice because I didn't think Asante Samuel had a great game against Arizona. I think he was fine in pass coverage. He was really bad in the open field and had a couple missed tackles himself. That is one of those. Davante Adams is going to get his, but if you can hold him to the 10, 15-yard receptions as opposed to the 33-yard catch and run after the catch that DeAndre Hopkins had for a touchdown, like that's going to be key to this game. It is corralling those guys. They're going to get their chunk yardages, but don't make them explosive. Hold them to what they give you. And if we can just do that consistently, we're going to be in a nice place to win this game late, which I think it's going to come down to it. Both teams are giving up more than 25 points a game. I think this is going to be a firefight. And when you have a rivalry that is like this, when you have one team who's fighting for their playoff contention and one team who's just there to be bullies and ruin people's day in the Raiders, we're going to get another exciting game, which is going to be bad for my heart and my blood pressure, but it's going to be good for football fans across the globe.
Oh, for sure. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how we go and play Khalil Mack, who had 3 sacks the first time these teams met, against really the same offensive line minus Brandon Parker, who's on IR. And let's go ahead and just talk about the players that are injured for the Raiders real quick. Andrew Billings. By the way, all these players are limited participants on Wednesday's practice. Andrew Billings, defensive tackle, running back Brandon Bolden, linebacker Darian Butler, Derek Carr, who was that? Sorry, Duron Harmon, cornerback. Josh Jacobs is dealing with a calf issue. Offensive tackle Colton Miller, limited participant, and then Kendall Vickers is a limited participant. The only player that probably won't play because he's in concussion protocol is Jesper Horsted, who's really their third tight end on their roster. And then for the Chargers, you're looking at Nasir Adderley, who is a limited participant. By the way, he's in like a huge arm cast thing for his
all
thumb.
Messed up. Straight club.
But hey, those clubs, that's old school football right there. Bryce Callahan did not practice. He's dealing with a groin injury of some sort. Michael Davis has a knee injury, full participant, so there should be no issue there. Derwin James, Corey Lindsley, and Khalil Mack all out, did not practice. Corey Lindsley's in the concussion protocol. See if he's able to get there healthy in time. Kenneth Murray is dealing with a wrist injury. Trey Pipkins is dealing with a knee injury. Jamari Salyer is dealing with a knee injury. And Mike Williams did not practice. I don't expect to see Mike Williams out there. Not against a team that's 4-8 at this point in the season. Probably a guy that you want to save for some of the more important matchups toward the back half of the season if we have hopes to make playoffs. Trey Pipkins not practicing. We'll see if he's able to finish out the game. I know Foster Sorrell came in toward the end of that Cardinals game, but we're banged up right now. We were already banged up, but now we got guys who are, have those lingering issues coming into week 13, as most teams do. But we got some issues really across the board.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's a matter of how bad does this team want it, because we are on the outskirts looking in for this playoff picture. There are, 9 teams who have a realistic shot of getting into this playoffs. Chargers, out of those 9, all have the worst odds, according to Vegas, to get in. The reason for that is, they have 4 very winnable games from teams that are not in that playoff contention. Those games being Broncos, Rams, Colts. You got the Raiders in there. That's a very winnable game. It's a must-win because those other 2 games on the schedule are Dolphins, who are at a 2 seed right now, the Titans, which are the 3rd seed in the AFC. So out of those 7 games, you need 4 of them. I'm not banking that we're going to roll through the Dolphins or roll through the Titans, who also run the football extremely well with Derrick Henry and that rushing attack. The 4 that are winnable are those guys that are out of the playoffs, but that's what makes it so scary, because every single one of those games against teams we should beat are must-wins. So there's no room for error now. It's time to nut up or shut up, and starts next week with the Raiders getting back into that consecutive win column. And they're going to bring their all, because they do not want to see us in the playoffs, especially since their season's basically done at this point. But it's not a league that go ahead.
Our record 6-5, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. You can keep going. Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off like that.
No, that was basically it. What I was going to say.
Well, here's the issue. This is where I was talking about the 6-5. So we're 6-5, and we need to go 4-2 to really have a legitimate chance of making playoffs.
Right, and it's
That's
not even guaranteed.
Ask.
That's not even guaranteed. We win 10 because Patriots are 6-4 as well.
Yeah, so that's a tall ask for a team that has struggled, especially struggling against bad teams. Right, we got blown out by the Jaguars. We squeaked out a win against the Cardinals that are, we're right. 4-5 going into the game. We squeaked out a win against what was the other? Oh, the Browns, right? The Browns are kind of struggling right now.
That was a tough one too.
So we're squeaking out wins, and you're not going to win every game if you squeak them out like that. You got to win. You got to blow out the bad teams. The Raiders are a bad team.
The Falcons game was way too close. I know we
the
beat the
Broncos
Texans.
game was way too close.
Yeah. Nothing's given in this league. That's why we can sit here all day and say, yeah, this team should win. At the end of the day, they have to go and play it. There's nothing certain in this league, and that's what makes watching the NFL so much fun, because anything can happen. The Cardinals last week are a bottom 5 rushing attack, and their running back, who hadn't accumulated more than 70 yards in a game, hits us for 120. Like, anything can happen, and that's what makes it fun.
Coming back to this Raiders game, I think that the place that we're going to be able to beat this team defensively, interior pressure. So you're looking at Dylan Parham, 30 pressures provided, Alex Bars, 24 in 2 less games. And then Andre James has been playing like an average center across the NFL. But Dylan Parham, he's a rookie, and I think Alex Bars is in his second year. I think that this is a game that you can go and get some interior pressure and force Derek Carr to make some bad decisions, because when Derek Carr gets pressured, he'll put the ball up and he'll throw some things. He'll misthrow them. He'll underthrow them, which led to the huge interception we had week 1. I don't want to take this team lightly, but I do want to game plan correctly. And I feel like one of those things that we need a game plan, something that we've gotten a lot of success with, is those linebacker blitzes into the A gaps. Somebody who's had an outstanding season at getting after the quarterback, Drew Tranquil. This is a great game to dial up some of those blitzes on the inside. See if you can get some pressure and force Derek Carr not to even take a sack, but just to throw it up or misthrow passes. And it'll lead to some turnovers, because the fastest way that you get out to a big lead, getting some turnovers. And we haven't had a pick 6 this season.
And Carr's susceptible to rushing his reads and trying to avoid sacks by getting rid of that ball. So that, I think that's a huge key, is that internal pressure, especially because with no Joey Bosa, with no legitimate outside rusher outside of Khalil Mack. I know we have Kyle Vanoy, but he is not the edge rusher we were expecting at this point in his career. Teams are game planning for Khalil the last 3 weeks very well. The Niners played him very well. The Chiefs basically eradicated him from the game. He was like unheard of. And I know he had 4 pressures against the Cardinals, but he wasn't a impact guy the way that we were accustomed to that first half of the season. So with him kind of in a rut, I don't even think it's a rut. I just think it's teams paying so much attention to him. They're game planning for him properly, that we're going to need some help up the middle. Morgan Fox and Sebastian Joseph Day, another guys who are going to need to have big games as well to be able to hit the right reads to allow those linebackers behind them those opportunities, free shots at the quarterback. If we can get a couple of those, I like our chances in this game.
And then the last thing I kind of want to talk about, Matt Collins has had a pretty good season this year, 550 yards-ish receiving, coming in for Hunter Renfrow, who's been the primary slot receiver. Not having a slot receiver, Davante Adams has been taking a lot of snaps inside there. Keelan Cole's been taking snaps inside there for Hunter Renfrow. Keelan Cole has not played that well. I think that if you can shade coverage over Davante Adams, put Bryce Callahan against Matt Collins or Vato, I think that you've got a real matchup there that you can kind of prevent them coming through the air. And then you just got to focus on Josh Jacobs. So you don't have a fullback that you're really worried about beating you. Darren Waller's out. He's on IR, so we don't have to play him, which is huge. That is a huge win for the Chargers. Foster Moreau, I'm just not afraid of. So any other things you want to talk about with the Raiders offense?
Yeah, I think you mentioned Matt Collins. This receiving core would be something to be afraid of if you reinserted Hunter Renfrow and he was still performing at the year he did last year. But I think, I lost my train of thought. What? Oh man, jog my memory. What were you just talking about?
I was just talking about. I'm just not afraid of Foster Moreau.
Not afraid of Foster Moreau, and not having a lethal tight end weapon frees up Derwin James to go and do Derwin James type
whatever
of stuff.
He wants.
whatever he wants. There's no oh, we need you to do this today, Derwin, which is going to get the best out of him. He's going to be able to get after the passer. He's going to be able to what we think is the number one inside option come third downs on those money packages. He's going to be able to play deep if we need him to. It frees up our best defensive and most versatile defender, which I think is a scary problem if you're the Raiders.
And then going across the Raiders defense, they're a little banged up there as well. Devon Diablo, who's probably been playing at a pretty high level for the Raiders in comparison to a lot of other linebackers in the league. Micah Kaiser out, their kind of backup linebacker in the middle. And then Anthony Averett, they were already really, really light in the cornerback room. Their starting outside corner is Tyler Hall. And then they got Amik Robertson playing in the slot. Roderick Teamer, he's a starter, undrafted free agent that we know very well. And they ended up they just let go of their safety. What's the name of the safety that they just let go? First round draft pick. They let him go a couple weeks ago. He just got let go again from another team. So, they're struggling in the secondary. Trayvon Moore, decent player, but outside of Rocky Sin and Trayvon Morig, this is not a good secondary. This is a team that you need to carve up if you're Justin Herbert. If you can get the pass off Max Crosby, Chandler Jones going up against our tackles, not a great matchup for us. But if we can get the ball out quickly, which is what the Chargers do on the offensive side of the ball, then that shouldn't be an issue. You should be able to negate some of that.
No, I like the offensive matchups across the board once you get past that offensive line. I like Austin Eckler's chances against those DBs you mentioned, but especially against those coverage linebackers. Denzel Perriman is a run stopper. He can't really get after the pass and shut that down. I think you're going to get a lot of yards after the catch from Gerald Everett, who's been tremendous for us this year, and then consistent, not super flashy or the blowout year we were expecting, but Josh Palmer's been very effective, and I think he's going to feast facing smaller 5'11", 5'10" corners in this game. And then another guy who just came off a career game has been a tremendous punt returner for us, but DeAndre Carter had a career high in targets, receptions, and receiving yards last year. He is showing the NFL that he is more than just a third phase player. He could affect the games in multiple ways. So you look at just those four options alone. I didn't even mention Keenan Allen, who's coming back slow but steady. I think there's just too much to stop. Again, I think it's going to be one of those grinded out games. I see both teams scoring more than 24 points because that's just kind of what they've been giving up defensively. But it's another game that I'm really excited about, and it's a must win if you're the Chargers.
The question just becomes, can we put Jamari Sawyer and Foster Sorrell at right tackle if Trey Pipkins is not ready to go, and you're going to match them up against Max Crosby and Chandler Jones? That's going to be the matchup. If there's going to be something that kills the offense, it's going to be preventing the pressure from those two outside guys.
Absolutely. I think what we have in our favor is that not much of a pass catcher, but Trey McKitty can affect the running game, whether that be pass or run. He's been more effective as a pass blocker this year. But another guy who's making his way back, who's not impacting the game offensively, like the flashy yard. He's not getting yards. He's not really getting carries. But Josh Kelly is a tremendous pass blocker. It does as the up back for us and punting formations is a big reason why that unit is so good as it is. But he is a really good in the box, picking up blitzes, picking up extra pressures. He's really good, and he really likes that challenge of being able to go and mix it up with those big guys trying to get after his quarterback and Justin Herbert.
Sony Michel actually really good at that.
He's good too.
I just hope we
don't see him. I think he's kind of been phased out. I don't think he had a snap last game.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up letting him go now that we've got our other three backs who have been a little more productive.
Well, I think Kelly. I think what Stoney does well is short yardage pickups and then pass blocking. But I think Josh Kelly is, I think he's significantly better in the pass blocking aspect, which is the strength of this team, which we need more than the guy who could get me 3rd and 1. Because at the end of the day, I'm gonna, if I have a chance, game on the line, it's 3rd and 1. I'm probably going to give the ball to Justin Herbert and let him throw the ball.
Yeah. Like I said, Divine Diablo, who's on IR, is still leading their team in total tackles with 74 total tackles. He's only played in 8 games. And then the next closest player is Denzel Perryman, who's also only played in 8 games. Been a little banged up this year. I think that this is a game that the Chargers can blow them out. I feel like I keep putting this out there.
Keep saying
it never happens.
It's not happening. This is it.
No, it's going to be a grinded out 21-18 game. But like it shouldn't explosive.
Be. Yeah, I think it's going to be closer to like the Browns game, like 30-28. Kind of similar. A big run-heavy team doesn't have a great defense this year, but has some good players. I think it's going to be closer to the 30-28 mark than.
How many points per game have they been putting up?
Points per game, they score. I think they average like about 21 and give up 25. I have it right here. 1 second.
Well, here's the thing. We know that they're going to pick up at least, I'd say, 160 yards on the ground. That's just like a given of what they're going to do. That's just it's what we've been allowing, right? Raiders have scored 22 points per game in 2021. That's not 2022 though.
They scored 24 points a game and allowed 25. We're averaging about 23 points and giving up 25.6. So I mean, if you're just looking on averages, the averages add up to a very, very close game.
And then you take into account like how many yards are they rushing on the ground?
I have it too. It's they're averaging 122 yards per game rushing.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that they're going to get 160 yards rushing on the ground. And I'm going to give Josh Jacobs 140, 3 touchdowns. And then you'll probably get Davante Adams will probably get 1. So you're probably looking at 28 points right there. They like their kicker. 31, so maybe it's going to be like a 34-31 Chargers game. We have to win the game.
Yeah.
But I could totally see, like, we just can't stop the run. And Josh Jacobs is just too efficient at breaking tackles, which is why we struggle so much. There's going to be 1 tackle that is missed that's going to go for 60 yards.
Yeah, he's good.
Or it might be like a Nick Chubb week 3 where like 3 guys had the chance to get him down and it ends up going for 60 yards. Because that's what Josh Jacobs does. He breaks tackles. He stays on his feet. If we can't get him on the ground, he's going to go for something big. It's what's going to happen. Prepare yourselves. It's going to happen.
Prepare for a very contested and very emotional and very up and down game. But those are more fun than those games are more fun and they're more rewarding at the end of the day than a blowout. At least as a fan, and
they're funner to watch.
They're just more exciting. Yeah, they do. I mean,
I just want a game that I'm not going to be at the edge of my seat the whole time. I just want a game where I'm just relaxed and we've got a 21-point lead heading into the 4th quarter and we're driving.
We should have and we had those games
set up this season. Just give me 1.
I don't know if we're going to get 1.
All right. Any closing remarks, Zach?
Get it done. Get it done. You do not want to have your season ended again by a division rival. So make the plays when they're there. Rally to the football. We're not tackling Josh Jacobs one-on-one. It's not happening. He's going to kill you that way. We need that mob mentality on the defense. And I need some big plays offensively. And throw in a special teams touchdown again. I love a good house call. And DeAndre Carter's been very, very close this year. I think he's due.
I think he's definitely due. I don't really like a lot of the tackles on the 15-yard line that on kickoffs that seem to happen at least once a game too.
Well, and he has such good vision, right? Like he can see Yeah, that's just good coverage.
I got one last thing to talk about. So the Pro Bowl voting came out. Which players do you think are deserving of the Pro Bowl? And I want you to just name one on the offensive side of the ball.
Justin Herbert.
That's the only one you can, right?
Pro Bowl. Yeah. Well, and is he a top? Yeah, because only 2 guys go, right? I don't think he's been better than Mahomes or Allen.
It's 6 total guys, right? And it's 3 from each the AFC
it is
and
3?
the NFC.
Oh, I'll give him 3. I'll give him. I think.
So here's the thing: you got Josh Allen,
probably go.
Patrick Mahomes, and I feel like Tua has earned it this year.
He has. Yeah, I don't know. You can really get another guy. I mean, Gerald Everett is been pretty decent. He's been really productive and really consistent for us. I don't know if
Kelsey and Mark Andrews.
Well, what about the third? Or that's just you only get 2 tight ends in the. See, I don't think we have a Pro Bowl. I don't think we really have a Pro Bowl player. We've just been.
Not on offense, I don't.
No. I'm trying to make a.
So Travis Kelce for sure is like a shoe-in, right? You got to put Ravens tight end in there.
Andrews is in there.
Pat Freiermuth has been really good this year.
Yeah.
And then you're probably looking at David Njoku and maybe Gerald Everett as the next guy there, because Dolphins, Mike Gesicki, maybe. Dawson Knox, maybe. But I just feel like Gerald Everett gets lost in the shuffle between like 4 and 8, somewhere in there. There's a lot of other tight ends that are doing the same exact thing Gerald Everett is.
Yeah, I think all of our Pro Bowl caliber players offensively either just play a very, very good position or just haven't been there consistently. Like our receivers are Pro Bowl talents. They just haven't put out the work that is necessary to get in. So I don't know that we're going to have one.
And I just don't feel like Justin Herbert, even though he's like leading the league in passing yards, still, there hasn't been enough flashy plays to put him into it. Tua has so many flashy plays this season. He's got so many home run hitters. It must be nice having Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill to throw to, because he won't even have to play in all the games, and he's already done so much more than Justin Herbert in terms of just flashiness. You want to talk about a social media quarterback? Is Tua not the perfect social media quarterback this season?
What are you talking about? I think you picked the wrong hill to die on. But it's one of those things that it's not even really based on talent or based on who is most impactful for their team. It's exactly what you say. It's who's flashy. It's a popularity contest. And I love my guys. I don't think they are on the general public's radar as they used to be. I mean, last year, I think tied for the most.
We had Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert, Rashawn Slater, Corey Linsley, Austin Eckler is like really close, because if you do look at Austin Eckler, he's got some flashy touchdowns, and he's still at the top of the league in touchdowns, and he started like 3 weeks late.
Yeah.
So yeah, Austin Eckler's in that, but you got Nick Chubb there, so that makes things a little bit hard.
Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry. You're talking about Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs has definitely earned a Pro Bowl this season. J.K. Dobbins is in the mix-ish.
Sure.
I feel like Najee hasn't done enough this season.
No. I think it's just one of those years.
Travis Etienne is actually right there, too.
Etienne's been good. I just think it's a rough year for us, just because we've had such an up and down year that we haven't. We just don't have the consistency as much as those other guys that you're mentioning.
If I have to pick 3 from the AFC for running backs, I'm picking Austin Eckler, because it's going to be Nick Chubb, without a doubt, Nick Chubb. And then Dolphins, Bills, Jets, Patriots, Chiefs. Oh, and then I'll put in Josh Jacobs, so there's 2.
And then
Williams is injured. The Broncos don't have anybody. Ravens, maybe J.K. Dobbins. I think
that the question for running back is What are you looking for, and what do you value at that position?
I'm looking at touchdowns. That's what you're supposed to be looking at.
Right, but if it's traditional running back value, rushing the ball, I think they're gonna go Derrick Henry. But if you're talking about versatility and scoring, then that's Austin Eckler all day. But it's, again, every voter has a different criteria in their head. It's going to be interesting to see what the NFL public kind of values there, especially position to position.
Okay, and then let's go over to defense. Which defensive players on the Chargers? Because I feel like there's a few that could potentially make the Pro Bowl.
I like Darwin's chances. I like Bryce Callahan has had a crazy resurgence of a year. He's been tremendous for us. And then I know he's kind of on a down trajectory, but Khalil Mack has been impactful. Even when he's not making plays, he's impacting the game, whether he might not be getting the tackle, he might not be getting the pressures that we're used to, but he still impacts the game because he's taking attention away from other guys who are making plays. So those are my three, and I think those are easy three. I'll also throw Drew Tranquill in there because he's been phenomenal.
So Drew, here's the thing is I don't think a lot of those players have enough flashy plays. Derwin James has the flashy plays. And I still think Khalil Mack has enough flashy plays, and then he already has the name, right?
Yeah,
but a player that you're missing who could have a really strong last half, Asante Samuel, I think has a legit shot because he's got the flashy plays. Even if he hasn't caught every interception, he's had a lot of pass breakups. He's had a lot of big plays. He's only got 2 interceptions, but he's got some dog moments this season where that might give him enough of an edge. If he gets I'd say he gets 1 pick 6 and he gets one more fumble, some kind of fumble recovery, in a big moment, right? Comes through in a big moment, comes through, locks down Davante Adams. I feel like he has enough hype heading up into this game and for the rest of this season where he's kind of one of those fringe players. I don't think Drew Tranquill has enough flashy, no Bobby Wagner name, no hit stick, just laying somebody out. Right. Derwin James, the moment Derwin James slammed Kelsey into the ground, body slammed him WWE style, he made the Pro Bowl off of 1 play.
Yeah. I like Asante Samuel, but I think he does need to have 7 very, very good games if he's going to get in there. I do think that the plays are there, but I think it's been a little bit inconsistent. He came out red hot, and then I think he's been kind of not Pro Bowl caliber these last 4 weeks. But if he can finish strong, I think the body of work, you got to look at the season as a whole, and I think you can make a legitimate argument for Asante as a Pro Bowler.
I feel like he's just so close. Maybe
he's very
6. I think you get 6 per team or something like that. The numbers 6 per team or 5 per team, and he's probably right around 10 or so.
Right, because there's no left corner, right corner slot. He has a lot more flexibility. Still, I think it's an upward hill battle to get more than 2-3 Charger Pro Bowlers this year.
I think Derwin James is a shoo-in for sure, but he's probably the only shoo-in. Then there's a lot of fringe guys.
Right. Well, there's nothing like a strong second half of the season. Say we win one of those games that we shouldn't against the Dolphins or against the Titans. I think a win against the Dolphins, a big flashy team, would help all of those guys tremendously. You finished this year 5-1. All of those fringe guys are a lot more attractive in the eyes of the public. So it's all about how you finish. We're here. It's game time. It's time to strap it up and get after it.
I'll close on this. Asante Samuel is tied for the 7th most pass breakups this season. And then you're taking a look at AFC cornerbacks. You're looking at Sauce Gardner. You're looking at, a lot of these players are on the NFC. Dane Jackson, Darius Williams is up there. Let's just go. L'Jarius Sneed is probably up there as well. Isaiah Rodgers, and then Patrick Surtain. And that's kind of it for your AFC. Trent McDuffie's up there with one of the highest defensive grades. But most of the really good cornerbacks are like Darius Slay. He's NFC, right? You're looking at Jalen Ramsey, NFC. You're looking at Patrick Peterson this year, been outstanding, NFC. Shavarius Ward, NFC. Marlon Humphrey, NFC. All the great cornerbacks, they're in a different conference.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Maybe that's how we squeak in is that DB class. I still think Bryce Callahan's really nice. He's just been so good for us, but I don't know that he has the Pro Bowl season that
he's not falling around
necessary.
wide receiver ones though.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see. We got a couple more weeks to see how things start to play out. Make sure you go and vote for your favorite Chargers, whether or not they played good or not. I mean, we almost had a fullback who played 6 snaps last year make the Pro Bowl. So let's go.